Auto major Maruti Suzuki is due to announce their results today. Continuing the trend in the last few quarters, the company is expected to post robust numbers in the March quarter, led by higher sales and strong volume growth. Revenue is expected to jump 20%, net profit as much as 45%, EBITDA over 50% year on year. Maruti Suzuki had earlier reported volume growth of 13% year on year, led by higher sales in the SUV segment that went up 71.5% year on year. Exports grew 21% year on year. I have two questions for you. The stock has not been amongst the best performers in the auto space over the last 1 year. Where do you see the focus of Maruti Suzuki in the coming year? EVs or SUVs, the segment that has done so well for them?
So, I think the stock itself has actually done rather well. If you see for this year, from January onwards, the stock was below that 10,000 mark and already run up to 13,000. So we are seeing a 30% kind of a run in a stock as big as Maruti. So I think it's a fair point to say that the stock might continue to consolidate here for some time. But on the whole, we are very bullish on this space. Just to add one more line here, we're slightly more bullish on the auto ancillary space than the manufacturers themselves. But I think the entire pack will do well. Now, to answer your question, where do we see the focus? I think SUVs are something that has already been a part of Maruti's strategy. EV perhaps will start to become a part of this strategy. But from what I understand, Maruti typically has been a laggard in terms of catching market trends. So I think EV will perhaps take some more time before it takes center stage as a part of the strategy. I think SUVs are the place where they will continue to bolster their portfolio.
My second question is something that you already mentioned. The stock is, while it is not the best in the auto pack, this is trading way above the 200-day moving averages. Do you really see a rally round the corner? Because amongst the pack, it is not the best, but it is way above the whether it is weighted moving average, exponential or simple. It's trading way above all of them.
Absolutely. And see, let me put it this way. It depends on the kind of horizon that you're looking at. If you're looking at a near-term move, then a lot of it will be result based. Also, let me say one thing as a disclaimer, which is we typically don't recommend stock trading strategies from a near-term perspective, on the day of the result, because of course it can be a very volatile day for the stock. That said, if you look at the setup, there is something called a negative RSI divergence, where the stock has actually moved to its previous high levels, but the strength seems to be missing. So I think even the markets are waiting for the result. But if I look at it from a medium-term perspective, there are pointers suggesting that the stock is poised to move higher from here. I think 14,500 is the next level to watch for on this stock. If I get any kind of a dip, let's say to 1200, 12,500 or below levels, I will be a buyer in Maruti for a target of 14,000 and 14,500.
Just to stay with the auto sector, Kush, how do you see the difference on the stock market when it comes to Maruti Suzuki versus the very close now number 2, which is actually a leader in the EV space, which is Tata Motors, and the third, Hyundai, also likely to list sometime this year. So how do you see Tata Motors and Maruti on a technical chart in comparison to each other?
So Tata Motors has had a fantastic run, but it's gone into this consolidation mode. Now, if you're looking at it from a medium to a long-term perspective, this will turn out to be an opportunity. But from a purely trading perspective, I will give Maruti the edge just now, because if you see the momentum in the stock, it's way higher, way better than Tata Motor. So we are bullish on both these names, but from just a pure momentum or a trading perspective, my suggestion would be to stick to a Maruti. Tata Motors is also trying to inch higher, but then the 1,040 kind of levels, which have in the past also acted as resistance, will continue to play. So the stock might consolidate here for some time. So from a momentum perspective, Maruti, but bullish on both.
Okay, and if Hyundai were to actually list in the Indian markets anytime soon, then how would the stock markets and the specific shares of Maruti and Tata get divided, or interest get divided?
Very honestly, I don't think by a whole lot. Typically what we've seen is when a company or especially a leader in the sector also lists the existing players, the existing listed players do get a shot in the arm, and we see a bit of a run up. But I don't think that really will be the case for likes of Tata Motors or Maruti already big names. The fundamentals are very clear out here. So, while this might be, healthy competition now in the listed space, but I don't think there'll be too much of an effect. Also, just the sheer amount of capital floating around, I think that also will get absorbed, fairly easily. So I think these two companies will continue to run their course, except for maybe a brief, uptick